looking?
I personally feel poems and literature basically in Nigeria is highly underrated. That was a beautiful, beautiful piece by Mr. James Eze. You are my rainbow, and it made me feel so good. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Welcome
Winnie.
to Today on STV. And it's a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, same here, Winnie.
So that play, I'm sorry, that what we just watched, basically,
Yes,
it's an interpretation of one of your many
yes.
poems, and it's called Rainbow.
Rainbow, yes.
Right. So tell me, give me an like. I mean, I think the video itself explains it a lot, and that was your voice doing the voiceover. So tell me, where do you draw your inspiration from? First, I must notice nature, right?
Okay.
So aside nature, what else?
Yeah. Aside nature, I draw my inspiration from my experience. I have a lot of experience growing up, relating with people, studying people, encountering beauty. You know, like look at you, Winnie. And then finding out that the world is a beautiful place after all. If you can look beyond the ugliness of the heart of man, there's so much beauty to be discovered. Discovered in our environment, discovered in the capacity of the human soul to find a very intrinsic beauty in another, which is what happens when we fall in love. Sometimes you can't explain. You just find someone and you are besotted with her. You go after her, and you go on that drive and get to a point where you are actually willing to let go of your past and embrace a future with that person. I am often inspired by that, and a lot of other things. Of course, the environment, the political environment.
Wow.
I'm inspired by conflict, and so many other such things. Yeah. And I try to react to these things. In this book.
So like you have poems about political environments in Nigeria?
Yes, absolutely.
Are they rageful?
Well, by way of introduction, the book Dispossessed is actually a book that is structured in three parts. The opening of the book, you encounter poems of innocence. So that's why if you look at the payoff here, it says poetry of innocence, transgression, and atonement. And what I try to do is compress my life journey, which is almost approximately the journey of every human being, into three parts. In the beginning, you are innocent, you're a child.
Very true.
And the world is beautiful and colorful and all of that. And then you get to, we are adolescents and youth, you fall in love and then
transgress.
You transgress and regress.
Yes, true.
And then the atonement part is when you're an adult. And you now look back, look around you, and you have to respond to what is going on around you. And so there are poems addressing these three stations of the cross in the journey, the pilgrim journeys from innocence to transgression and atonement. When you are atoning for the flaws, the errors you have encountered in your middle life, you are actually getting yourself ready for the final journey. But before you exit, you have to ask the fundamental questions and react to the dominant issues of your time. That's what I try to do in this collection.
Awesome.
And as we go on this journey, I will take you closer.
That's actually great. So in case you're wondering what he's talking about his book Dispossessed, right? Which was the book where one of the rainbow was actually pulled out of. It's a compilation of like beautiful, beautiful poems, and you totally need to get this. I mean, it's a lovely, beautiful book. I mean, from that poem alone, I totally know I need this in my collection. I mean, poetry is really underestimated in Nigeria, as I said earlier. And what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about the poetic environment of Nigeria? I mean, these are things that come naturally. To be a poet, I honestly feel if you find it in you, it's not something you need money initially for, right? It's something you just have to sit down and center yourself. So what do you think about this? And how do you think we can make Nigeria a better place when it comes to literature?
Absolutely. That's a very good question, because I've always felt that if there is any field of human endeavor where the Nigerian has shown himself to be capable and able to compete with the finest in the world, it is in the field of literature.
Very true.
And
Very true.
you look at our literary tradition. We actually began it all in Africa.
Yes.
You know, you look at the Wole Soyinkas of this world, Chinua Achebe, and then of recent, we've also seen very, very powerful writers like Helen Habila, Okein Dibe, Chimamanda Adichie, who has been dominant, who's been able to make a transition from being just a writer to a public speaker and a feminist of note on the global stage. So you find Nigerians competing effectively in that field. And I think that it is something you don't want to throw away, which was the reason why back in 2007, when Chimamanda won the Orange Prize for Literature. And I was working with Fidelity Bank then, and she was my friend. And we had conversations about how to actually maintain the Nigerian literary tradition. And it told me one of the things she would have loved to do if she had money was to set up a writer's colony. And so when she won the prize, and the bank that I worked with wanted to hold an evening of, in her honor, it was a time that we worked together to ensure that she started the International Creative Writing Workshop, which Fidelity was sponsoring at the time. That in essence tells you about my own attitude towards what I think we should do. Preserve what we have. The literary tradition that has kept us over the years. Nigerian writers have brought honor and dignity to this country.
They actually have.
But I think we should do more. I think we should also explore other ways of making literature more accessible to the people. That's why I said in some of my earlier statements that I am looking for new audiences for poetry. This interpretation of Rainbow into a song, to my mind, is an attempt to bring poetry closer to the people who wouldn't ordinarily pay attention to poetry. A lot of people do not know that there is only a thin line between poetry and song, and music. And what we see out there is actually poetry taking a little bit beyond what it should be, because poetry is usually very deep and sometimes so esoteric that it becomes a language that's only accessible to a few. But if you turn it into what I try to do on Rainbow, a lot more people will get curious and pay attention.
Very true.
And by the way, Rainbow is a piece of poem that looks at the relationship between a man and a woman, and from the point of view of the mating of the planetary bodies. There are two segments to it, the rainbow and eclipse. So it takes off from the poet persona who is in love. Positioning his love interest on a pedestal that is very rarefied, very rare, and comparing her to so many things. Then it gets to a point where he talks about. He compares her to some of the finest fragments of music. And it goes on and on. Each hymnal contralto, each movement in the concerto reminds me of the harmony in the rainbow. So it goes on and on and on and on. And that is what love, in its purest manifestation, should be.
Very true. Very true.
You fall in love. For you to really enjoy that relationship, there should be intense commitment.
It's very true.
Which is becoming very rare in our environment today.
So if we have to talk about this topic, we will not leave here today. Because, a lot of people are carried away by other things apart from the genuine reason certain things actually were even created in the first place. But then again, I appreciate people like you that actually have this depth to their thinking and their view of the world in general. To come and share such beautiful experiences with us. I think it's really brilliant. And of course, I went through your bio. You've worked with the Sun newspaper, Fidelity Bank. Of course, you also worked with Chimamanda, who has actually done brilliantly well. That alone tells you that you actually are a man of substance. And of course, we are definitely looking forward to your works in future. As regards, I think there should probably be some way where poets or poets are trained or something, maybe like a community where we actually could go and experience poetry, like maybe like a club or something. I don't know. Anyways, I think you're doing something like that in Awka already, right?
Yes, actually on a yearly basis, especially the Valentine season, I have a literary collective known as Under African Skies.
Okay.
So we hold an annual evening of poetry and song in Awka, Anambra State.
Great. Please bring it to Lagos, please. We are waiting for Lagos edition. Honestly. Thank you so much, sir, for coming around. And where can we get your book just before I run?
At the moment, I'm just trying to put them in the bookshops in Lagos.
Okay.
So, but the book, it's online on almost all the major online stores in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in India. But I am in Lagos at the moment to make the necessary arrangements that will make the hard copies available to everyone.
Great. So do we have some for our viewers?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, we do. Oh, great. So make sure
I will autograph this.
You autograph this. Thank you. Oh, thank you. So I get one and you guys get one or maybe two also. Okay, so make sure you join the conversation on social media at Silverbird TV with the hashtag TodayNSTV and find out how exactly you can win one of these amazing books. Thank you so much, sir. Sadly, we have to go. End this interview right now because we're short on time. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. Okay, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with more guests. Do not go anywhere.